Oh, welcome back to Friday Night Modern here at GameSwap Mason, brought to you by Top Deck Production. Connor Sloan in the booth. Joining me shortly will be Nate Lang, taking Zach Creamer's spot for this final round. And we've got what looks like a prison and a goblin deck. I've been asked to remind you all that the M does stand for core set. And it looks like we're going to be getting underway here with a mountain from the prison deck. We've got a lot of red happening in this game. Is definitely a common theme that we'll be seeing. Opening up with some solid mountains on either side, but it looks like Luke is going to be running out a 1-drop Goblin Guide, the premier goblin of this format. Revealing a mountain off the top of Erik's deck, which will be going to his hand. And a chalice on 1, which is a power play, to say the least, against the mono red goblin deck. The majority of the deck being 1 mana, we have our standard goblin suite, accompanied with goblin guides, legion loyalists, and lightning bolt, the modern all-star itself. This particular build of prison appearing to be mono red, contrary to the popular red-white, which is what most people like to play. And here we have Goblin Guide doing a hell of a lot of work for Erik, actually. putting it looks like at least 2 cards into his hand at this point. So here we've got Luke starting to go to discard due to the chalice. He obviously can't play that Legion Loyalist into the chalice. You know, unless he really wants to give Erik that check, the old chalice check. In a rough spot here, Luke. Actually, he only has 1 land. He does have a number of 2-drops he can play. We see at least 1 Burning Tree Emissary, and there he goes with the chalice check. See if Erik actually catches the chalice, and that looks like an ensnaring bridge. Is that correct? Looks like an ensnaring bridge out. Not doing a lot of work now with 6 cards in Erik's hand. And looks like Luke's going to come back and finally draw a second land. What do you think about that, Nate?
It's hard to say. I just got here. What's going on?
Well, we've got a chalice on 1 on Erik's side and a goblin guide on Luke's side. Luke has actually not cast any other spells. You just saw his second land here on turn 4.
Okay.
He does have a lot of 2-drops. So it looks like there's at least 1 Burning Tree Emissary in his hand, which he cannot cast due to a lack of green mana.
Correct. Okay. Well, that's a little rough. Uh-oh. And his only repeated source of damage is...
So we've got...
Oh, looks like that's the concession.
You definitely can. So, no, it's not the concession. You can.
Oh, no, wait.
That's actually hybrid mana, which I definitely forgot about.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it's not red-green.
Is that Mog...
It's Mog
Fanatic, a 1-mana spell?
Yeah, the one you sack.
It appears that Erik may have missed a trigger.
Oh, yeah. Yep, he can't cast that.
He can cast it.
Well, he cannot. Well, correct. That's true. Erik should have told him.
It looks like, well, Erik just missed his trigger.
Yep.
That's all it is. It looks like the Anger of the Gods came out, though. They may have just shortcutted that because it doesn't look like Luke shot him for 1 in response. It may have been Chalice Trigger, something along the lines of Chalice Trigger, but I'm just gonna wrath your board anyway.
Right. Oh, he did shoot him.
He did. Well, then I guess we did have a missed trigger. So there's a second ensnaring bridge. You do really have to get all those ensnaring bridges out of your hand before they even really start working.
This is true.
Looking like a Blood Moon being the last thing in his hand.
Erik. Okay. So
Erik recognizing that he missed that trigger.
Right. Yep. All right. So what are we looking like?
Well, Goblin Chainwhirler just came out and did preposterously nothing. Did exactly 1 damage to Erik, and it is not going to be able to attack through these ensnaring bridges.
The Blood Moon's looking real good, huh?
It's at least nice to look at. The art's nice.
It's pretty. It's pretty. All right, so
it looks like we have a chalice trigger on that.
Chalice
trigger on that. Yeah, he's got to try that.
There
that's
we go.
The line.
Yep.
You gotta check him. I won a match because my opponent missed a chalice trigger on an Ancient Stirrings. It was my only out, so I just went for it. He said, "Yep," and I got an Ulamog and ended the game.
That's fair. I mean, you got to go for it, right? Uh-oh.
Competitive REL.
This should be it. Luke is kind of just going through the motions at this point. Yep.
Yep. That's definitely the game. Chalice on 1, Chalice on 2. That covers everything in Luke's deck. I do believe
minus that Chain Whirler.
I do believe. Yeah, you're right. Except the Chain Whirler. I am quite sure that there are Blood Moons in Luke's deck, which it doesn't hit, but similarly do preposterously nothing, similar to Eric's.
So what are we looking at? Excuse me. What are we looking at Luke to bring in here?
Luke is definitely going to be bringing in some Smash to Smithereens, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like there's at least 4 of them there. I think I saw some Flame of Keld, which is a new card from Dominaria.
Yeah.
Quote unquote new from Dominaria. 2 sets old already.
Yeah, that's fair. New for Modern.
New for Modern. So we got Flame of Keld, which really just fills your hand up. It's just kind of a card advantage card. There have been some people experimenting with it in just standard red-white burn. Not really to any serious end. It hasn't honestly been played, but there's been some thought experiments on it. Okay. I think that the Chain Whirler is actually something that Luke wants to keep in because of all the Planeswalkers that Eric's playing.
That's
whether
fair.
or not he knows that, because if I recall correctly, Eric's running a solid 4 Chandra Torch of Defiance, and almost assuredly a Cough of the Hammer.
Okay. And then for Erik, so we're looking at, what's he trying to see?
Well, they're both technically taking out Blood Moons. That is if Luke runs them. I believe he does. The real powerhouses in this for Erik are the Anger of the God effect, so the Angers, the Sweltering Suns, and the Bridges. The Bridges are a huge deal. Now, the Bridges are answered by the Smash of Smithereens that Luke's bringing in, and that's surely one of the reasons that Luke is bringing them in. So
absolutely.
You got the Chalices, the Chalice on 1, which it takes care of, and the Bridge for sure.
Right. Okay, so both players have some game here.
I'm anticipating some additional sweepers coming out of Erik's board.
What else can he be running? Because he's already running those Anger's main, right?
Apparently, Eidolon of the Great Revel is something that Erik's going to be running in here.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
I don't disagree with that. I think that's a fine card for this matchup, especially if you're on the play, which he's not, but especially if you are on the play.
Correct.
The Eidolon does a hefty bit of work.
It sure does.
Especially these decks that are just trying to put as many spells on the stack as they can. Goblins is trying to do that, even though it's a creature deck.
So if Luke got his way, what's his sequence of plays going to be coming at the gate here?
The really nutty turn 1s here out of Luke are going to be Legion Loyalist on turn 1.
Okay.
And turn 2, you wanna chain some Burning Tree Emissaries into some Bushwhackers.
Now that sounds, I don't know about you, but
that's what you really want to see.
That sounds like a good time.
If you're following up with 2 to 3 Burning Tree Emissaries and a Whacker, your ideal turn 1 is going to be good old Foundry Street Denizen. So turn 1 Foundry Street Denizen is a 1/1 without anything spectacular. But turn 2, if you can play Burning Tree, Whacker, then you've got your Foundry Street Denizen.
Boy, gets big.
Coming in for 5.
Yeah.
And so that whole swing is 5 to 8, 13. In fact, that's a 13 damage swing on turn 2.
That's it? Jeez. I don't know.
And then you just clean the board up with some Goblin Grenades.
I hate that card so much.
That said, Erik can really easily power out a Chalice on 1, and that's going to spell the end here for Luke if he doesn't have the answer.
Right. Oh, and it looks like Erik is starting.
Here we have starting the game with a Gemstone Cavern on turn 0. Can we get Gemstone Cavern up here, please, Justin?
Man, Erik just stole the play.
Yeah, for sure.
What a mean guy.
He's definitely on the play with a card draw now. That's what that card means.
All right, so we've got Gemstone Caverns.
So if it is in your opening hand and you're on the draw, you may begin the game with Gemstone Cavern in play with a luck counter on it. The only relevance of the luck counter being you can make any color of mana rather than colorless. Now, it is legendary, but you do have the option to pitch duplicate copies of it to its own effect when you start the game with it. And as we saw here, Erik pitched a mountain to it. So we do have, and that's really the makings of the turn 1 Chalice in this format.
Is he running Simian Spirit Guide as well?
I believe he is. We didn't see any last game. I would be surprised if he wasn't. He apparently has one in hand, which is, he could definitely be running out a Chandra or an Anger here.
Okay.
He has the Simian in his hand. So we got that Anger coming out here, which is going to put all those. We're going to need to put all those into exile, actually. I think that may or may not be relevant in this match. And we got a Mog Fanatic. The Fanatic himself.
Sheesh.
The old 1 damage.
Guy's a maniac.
Card's really interesting. The card really, it was really powerful back when it was first printed, because at the time damage used the stack. And it was very interesting because you could get in, you could swing, and with the combat damage on the stack to a creature, you could sacrifice it to the creature to deal effectively 2 damage to that creature.
Right, right.
And it does matter. The graveyard here is relevant because of the Grim Lavamancer. I'm not sure that Luke's graveyard is relevant to Eric's Grim Lavamancer, but you never know. Here's a P.
Well, I mean, because Luke has the Lavamancer himself.
Does he?
Yeah, it's in his exile now.
You're very correct. So
it looks like
that
Luke.
Pia and Kieran's going to get answered pretty quickly, which is definitely a good idea. That card turns into a headache pretty quickly. So
card will pull its weight for sure.
Here, yeah, if it's not answered. When it was answered, and you still have 2 flying power on board.
That's yeah, seems pretty good.
So here comes the Chalice on 1, which is going to really stifle Luke's ability to really come back in this game. And then here we have
he'll have a choice.
Block. So he's going to.
Yep. All right.
He's going to let it die. He's not going to sacrifice it. Now damage still used the stack.
Right.
Then you get a 2-for-1.
Oh boy, yeah.
And here comes Koth.
Look at these basics from Erik. I mean, what?
All over the place. That one says tap red. It's written on it in Sharpie.
I don't.
That is nuts.
Yeah. That's well. All right.
The Madman. And it's signed by one of our other local boys here.
Oh, local boys signatures. Okay, so we've got a little bit of an explosive turn coming out of Luke here.
Burning tree.
Into what looks like a smash.
Into a smash.
Wow,
so that smash is going to destroy target artifact and deal 3 damage to that artifact's controller. That is my removal of choice for burn. When I'm playing burn, I don't like to play any of that destructive revelry nonsense. I don't like green.
Did Erik fetch? Should he be at 9 from 12, right? Because he was at 12, then the smash, unless I missed something.
Not sure. Can we go ahead and just clarify that? I mean, the players have it on the dice, so it's up to them really.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So
I must have missed something.
It looks like Luke's supposed to be at 12.
So it looks like Erik take down on this Chandra to take care of one of the burning trees.
And then the burning tree was then answered by Luke. So here we have. I'm actually kind of surprised at how solidly Luke has managed to stabilize in this game.
Yep, absolutely.
He answered that Chalice in perfect timing, which is allowing him to continue to play out his hand. And all that Erik really has going for him is, I mean, he's got 2 Planeswalkers, which is, no small feat, but Chandra is on the verge of death. I'm sure Chandra's going to be taken out in this swing.
I think she's hitting the yard here
Koth,
real quick.
I don't necessarily think that Koth is a huge deal here until he ultimates, at least from Luke's standpoint. We can animate lands, but that only does so much. We're going to go ahead and get a Koth ultimate here.
All right, so what does that do, Connor?
Mountains you control gain tap to deal 1 damage to target creature or player.
Okay.
So we're looking at basically your lands become walking ballistas. Or your lands become Endbringers, and everything in Luke's deck has 1 or 2 power. So this is no bueno for Luke.
This seems a little tumultuous now for Luke.
For sure. Luke is definitely in a catching up sort of position here. He started out very powerfully, and he really stabilized there, but that Koth ult really cost him. And I would wager that it's going to cost him the game. So we're going to play out the gemstone. We're going to sacrifice the one that can tap for red. So that we can power out a Chandra. He used the +2 mana ability from the first Chandra to cast the second Chandra.
There we go.
And let's go ahead and get that Chandra off the board here. Luke caught it. We're good.
There we go. So this is kind of difficult for Luke because every time he's not applying pressure to the board, Erik is just gonna
being dealt with. Yeah.
He's gonna ping him with his lands. So. All right, so it looks like Luke has a Goblin Grenade, and Erik's getting really low.
So we're going to go ahead and pop off this Mog Fanatic to deal with the Chandra. Now
in that instance, would you have just used the Goblin Grenade?
I don't think I would have.
Erik?
I don't think I would have. It doesn't look like he does have a Goblin.
Oh, okay,
Grenade.
okay.
If he did have a Goblin Grenade, there's some combination of play a Goblin, play a Mog Fanatic, use the Mog Fanatic to deal 1, and then Goblin Grenade for lethal. Because Erik's actually still at 6. So he's gonna take the trigger and then kill the Goblin Guide. He's gonna get that information and potentially a land. And here we have the.
So it looks like Luke has a Chain Whirler, a Smash to Smithereens, and then one card.
Here comes the ticking clock from Erik. We've got but a few turns on the clock here. Now that 3 power creature is gonna make Erik tap 3 lands.
Oh.
And it looks like Luke's gonna scoop it up.
Now that was close because that puts him a Goblin Grenade away from.
Right. See, Erik just he tapped out for the damage and then presented the Chandra. He just showed him the Chandra. And the Chandra spelled lethal.
Yep. All right, so well fought by Luke.
Or he may have just said 4 to you, untap 4 to you.